Hey guys, ViscoseComb24 here, bringing you a real quick redstone video. Today I'm going to be showing you all this. It is my super compact 9x9 funnel door on bedrock edition. As you can see, it all closes. When I go over to the backside, you can see it doesn't have a backside because this is a funnel door, but this does give you a chance to see the weird layout I used to make it this small. When I go back on over to the front and flick the lever again, you can see it will also all open. The opening animation on the bottom here isn't the best. As you can see, that refires and this takes a while, but I'll be explaining why that is when I get into the layout, as well as some of the quirks of the wiring. This thing is 17 blocks wide, 17 blocks tall, and 6 blocks deep. So it has a volume of 1,734 blocks. I'm actually quite proud of this size. What I normally try to do when making a funnel door is I try to make it either a block shorter or 2 blocks thinner than the vault door version. The reason for this is, as I've explained in other videos, funnel doors are just this design. Give it a bit. They're just this design, but single-sided. Whereas vault doors are this design, but double-sided. You can see here, this is my 9x9 vault door, and it has the design on both sides. Now, the reason that this is, a motivator for me to create a smaller height or width for the funnel is because a vault door has powering points for this middle extender on the right and left, but not the front and the back. The front and the back are taken up by flattening, whereas on a funnel door, you have the right and the left here for wiring, but you also have this back layer. And that back layer usually makes it a lot easier to create a smaller layout. And in fact, that back layer was required for this layout. So obviously, there's a lot more that you can do with that back layer, and therefore you can make the height and width a lot smaller. With that said, I guess I should get into the layouts. So this funnel door has a 1, 2, 3 block from the floor bottom wiring here, whereas for the vault door, the bottom wiring is 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks from the floor. And while that is just a single block off the bottom for the funnel door, the layouts are wildly different. So this right here is the layout for the 4 tall quintuple, and I'm just going to really quickly show you how it works for those of you who haven't seen. First thing that happens is that pushes, and then you have the double piston extender piston storage. Fire that again, extend that, and then a single redstone block storage. And it's all extended. Now for the retraction, deactivate that, then that, of course deactivate that, and then deactivate this. And as you can see here, this has just handled a lot of the logic for the retraction, all in a one wide area. Now, of course, we can pull this piston out of the way again, and then just send through a refire. And there it all goes. Now, as you saw, this handled a lot of the logic for the retraction, and it's all in this one wide area. So you can fit in flattening in the front here and on the back and still not obstruct the retraction logic. Whereas on this layout, there is no logic to be seen because there's nowhere to fit the logic in on this layer. It all had to be fit on the back layer here that the funnel doors have. And so that is why I was aiming for this size, and of course the layout. Now, I hope all the things are starting to connect now. So I'm going to really quickly show you the logic for this. First things first though, you might have noticed the slider is a little bit weird this time, and it's actually very weird. I was shaving another block off the bottom, but the thing is, this is pretty much the smallest you can get with the quintuple before needing double piston extender redstone block storage. And the reason for this is, obviously, this sticky piston right here with 2 slime and then a block. Once I do redstone block storage, you can see this has pushed up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. Remove a slime and it goes to 4. So you need to have, at the very least, a 3 block tall layout here for the slime. Sticky piston, slime. Otherwise, you're going to need to add on an extra set of sticky pistons here in order to handle a single block of slime pushing up 5 blocks, which I'm going to really quickly show you here. Do this. There we go. So now that has pushed up 5 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you've needed a lot more, and of course, I think you're probably at this point starting to see the issues with this. So in order to make up for that, I added an extra sticky piston down here so that I can have a sticky piston to help retract, and also a sticky piston that can be brought along with the slime. And so first things first, we slide it, push that in, refire, then power that, do this redstone block storage, and then do this redstone block storage. And there we go. It's pushed up 5 blocks. Now retract that, then this, do a little bit of a retraction there, and now for the weird slider. So as you can see, this sticky piston has been left behind, like I said we needed, in order to continue the retraction, but it's also in a really, really inconvenient location. So I had to add on an extra piston to the slider here. So that pushes. It does bring down that sticky piston, but that doesn't really matter. And then push that over. And then this gets an extra pulse right there, and then it gets pulled out of the way. Now you can send in a repulse, and it is just finished retracting. The logic is very, very weird and involved, and the way that I wired it is a little bit weird. I can't really demonstrate it here in the door itself, because that would probably break a few things, but I can build it over there. So I'm going to really quickly do that and come back to you when I'm finished. So here it is. The retraction logic circuit is put in. I excluded the extension because that's just completely separate. So I'm going to do that manually. So we've already seen this part get to there. But now we can activate the first part of the retraction logic. And as you can see, this has done 2 crucial things. Obviously, it's powered that, but it's also powered these 2 pistons. As you can see here, this sticky piston and that redstone block are what control the power of this one. These 2 need to be operated as a unit, whereas this one needs to be operated separately. So it was quite convenient that these 2 got power, and this one did not. Now, of course, this thing does get powered separately, and then over on this side, you have that redstone block storage controlled separately, and it is now pushed up 5 blocks. For the retraction, retract that, and then, of course, pull that out of the way. Deactivate that, and then you can deactivate this. And as you can see here, it did just handle a lot of the logic. In fact, I may actually really quickly just simulate that again, just so that you can see it a little bit better. So this is what the logic does. It showed everything that I showed earlier is done right there. Obviously, of course, this thing would have been powered right there, but we missed that because I had to reset everything. But now you can retract this and then just send in a refire. And there it all goes. It's a pretty janky system, I will admit, and it's just all splattered here. But I'm quite happy with how it turned out anyways. I didn't expect to be able to fit everything in. Now this observer here is used for the refiring that I showed earlier. I just flicked this lever again, but within the door itself, it's actually this piston that handles that refire. And it's kind of weird how it gets its power. So as you can see here, this observer chain goes up, powers that dropper, and goes back down. And that dropper also gets used as a solid block to power this. The refire is all handled here, and I didn't want this observer detecting that being powered and depowered from here for the refiring of the storage. And so because of that, I used a torch, and yeah, it just snakes through. It's hard to show everything without spectator mode, but it's a mess. Now on to the uses of the hopper clocks. So this right here I used for the flattening of the quintuple right here. As you can see, that repeater chain goes off to that observer, and that observer is getting its signal from right here, coming out of that hopper clock. I needed a lot of delay, and that was the most convenient place to put it. These hopper clocks right here are used to delay the sides so that the quintuple has enough time to fully extend before the sides kick in. Because if this quintuple extends while the sides are in place, the slime will catch on to the quads and the quintuple won't be able to extend. And as you can see, I have that on both sides. Then this hopper clock right here was used for the flattening of the double piston extenders and the triple piston extenders. The way that I handled it was actually kind of weird. So as you can see in here, I've actually got a pretty big slider that I've used right here. So the way that I got the flattening done was, let's just envision that these are down. First thing that happens is that powers, and as you can see right there, it has just flattened the middle block. And then over on this side, we have that, and it flattens the rest of it. I needed to have that really, really weird setup, because without it, I wouldn't be able to power these things. They're actually walled off on this side, as you can see, and the back side is just the triple piston extender itself. So it was very, very tight, and that was the only solution that I was able to come up with. Now I just gotta replace everything. And the reason for this refiring is because it's actually hooked up to the refire that I used for this. As you can see right there, that observer is coming out from that 4-tick, and that 4-tick is what gets refired in order to have this closing, or this storage refired. And that's why it gets pulsed. It's all very, very interconnected and very, very jank. So that's just about all I have to say about this door. I hope my explanation was coherent. It's not the best door by any stretch of the imagination. It's very much a mess, but I was still pretty happy with how it turned out, even with the mess, and I have used this setup here to create other doors, so I did get something out of this, and also this may very well be modified for a vault door eventually, but yeah, that's just this video. I'm ViscosComb24, and I'll see you next time.